All right, guys. So we have here is 3/4 of my propane setup. Okay. When my tank, this isn't the my propane tank for the boat. This is just my grill one, but I wanted to test to see if any of these connections are leaking because I just got a new solenoid. Okay, this is a 1/4 inch 12-volt solenoid. Um, it's funny because it's supposed to tell you where's the in and where's the out, but if you don't have this thing, does not come with instructions. It just comes with this box. If you look where the cables are, that is, let's see if I can focus on it. That's the in, and that's the out. So when this whole setup is in my boat, the tank is there. This is mounted to the inner wall. My solenoid is there. Those cables get connected to the switch inside the boat. And I think that's it. Well, there's obviously a line that goes on this side and it goes all the way to the stove and my water heater. I'm not sure if it does split to my water heater or not, but I'm assuming it does. But anyways, the reason that I'm doing this here is because I wanted to test everything, make sure nothing's leaking and everything's working. These are the components that if you're not getting any propane to your stove, something's going on here, okay? Because like I said, there's just a hose that goes from the out of the solenoid all the way to the stove. Now, I was told you're supposed to replace these every 6 months, but this thing, I think, is the original one that came with the boat, and it's never been replaced. So the good thing about this solenoid is you take that top screw off and you can replace that part, which is probably the part that is going to fail on you. So this way you don't have to take this whole thing apart just to replace your solenoid. Now, you guys are probably wondering why I didn't just unhook everything. Well, these connections are all basically rusted on, corroded on. Like I had a hell of a time just getting the bottom part out, just getting this part out, and getting the old solenoid out. Yeah, it was a struggle, but I was able to use some heat. I used some WD-40 to lube it up a little bit, use the heat to loosen it up, and I was able to get it out. But I don't want to use one of these on the back of my boat where everything's really tight and is dangerous. So anyways, getting back to this. Now, the gauge isn't to tell you how much propane is in the tank. The gauge is to tell you if there's a leak in your system. Okay? So when you open up the valve, this is going to shoot up. You're supposed to tape off, put a piece of tape where it stops so you know that that's the full line when your tank is full. I'm not going to do it on this one because this isn't the tank that I'm using on the boat. I have a little 13-pound one that I use. So this is just for testing purposes. I like doing this stuff outside of the boat where I have room. I'm not doing any weird yoga poses to work on this stuff. And I like to figure out how stuff works. So just in case something goes wrong, wherever I'm at, I can fix it myself. Let's turn on the valve and we're going to check for leaks. So we'll open it up. Now, if I was on my boat, I would tape this off here so that I know this is the full line. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to shut it off. Okay? I don't hear any leaking, but that doesn't mean anything. A lot of propane's not shooting out of here, so I'm pretty sure that that solenoid is doing its job. This thing is doing its job. So now let's shut it off. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait and see if that gauge starts dropping and how fast it's dropping. Because if it should drop a little bit, because some pressure should drop. The gauge should drop a little bit, but not dramatically or drastically. Let's see if we can hear anything. Oh, I hear something. Yep, I think this spot is leaking here. And let's see, is it dropping yet? Yeah, I think it's dropping. I don't have my glasses with me, so I can't really see the number, but I can hear it leaking through here. Now, if it was still dropping and you couldn't hear anything, you could use soapy water and look for bubbles in these connections. But I definitely hear, see if you guys can hear it. I hear gas coming out of here. So I'm gonna stop recording for a second, and I'm going to, if it's leaking, it's not leaking too fast, but still, you don't want any leaks in your boat. So I'm gonna stop the video here so I can tighten this up and make sure that's the only spot that is leaking. All right, guys, I used this wrench to tighten this up, and I don't hear it leaking anymore. Okay, so let's open this back up all the way. Yep, it dropped a lot, and this was only a few seconds. So let's close this up, and let's keep an eye on this and see if it drops. Sorry about the lighting in here, guys. I gotta get some better lighting in here. I don't hear any leaking anywhere. It doesn't look like it's dropping. So like I said, guys, this isn't to tell you how much fuel is in the tank. This is just letting you know how much pressure is in the system and if you have any leaks. And so our next test is to see if this solenoid works. Unfortunately, today I don't have a battery, a 12-volt battery to test this out. But I'm gonna pick one up, and we're going to. Oh, still no droppage. Yeah, so that means that the whole system is good. There's no leaks. So now, when I hook up a 12-volt battery to this, it should open this up and propane should shoot out. So once we get the line and the bolt connected to here, we should be able to feed some propane to the stove and everything should be good. Now, if I hook up this line and this thing drops after a while, then there's a leak somewhere in the rest of the system. But chances are that they've designed this for all the connections to be here. At least the failing connections, the stuff that would mostly fail, would be in this part, not on the stove part. Or you have a bad stove or a hole in one of your lines. All right, guys. So what we have here, got a little 12-volt battery. Got the propane tank. I'm gonna open it up all the way. You got pressure. All right, so don't try this at home, but what we're going to do is, I don't have a switch, so I can't hook up a switch to this. So I'm going to connect these two to the battery, and we should see, if everything works right, we should hear propane coming out of there. All right, so we're going to hit this and listen for that. So there it goes. So I know for a fact that this part of the system is working. There's propane coming out of there, which will feed the line that goes to the stove. And then we should be able to light the stove and be able to cook inside the boat. All right, so that's going to be the next step. So check it out, guys. I got propane coming through. Okay, so if you go over here, I got a little switch. If you hit the little switch, it shuts off the gas and shuts off the stove. Isn't that cool? I just got to button everything up, and that's it.